Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Leadership Satsang. My name is Yukti Kapoor Medirata, and I am delighted to be your coach. Thank you so much for following me and supporting this initiative called Leadership Satsang. The reason why we call it Leadership Satsang is because we're in a good company of lifelong learners and leaders like you all. And the agenda of our sessions, always, every single Tuesday, is to pick up one important big challenge that we are facing as leaders and what could be some of the ways to deal with that challenge. So today is another such satsang where I'm going to pick up a question that I'm often asked by a lot of leaders, whether they are business owners or in a corporate environment. One of the challenges that we face and we dread to face is how and when and if to let go of one of our key resources who's probably not liked by other people, but they are great performers, and it becomes a huge dilemma for us as leaders to decide क्या करें, ऐसे लोगों को जाने दें या ऐसे लोगों को ट्रेन करें. And that's what we're going to learn, understand, and talk about today. But before that, let me confess that I am back from Delhi, back home, back to business. But what I've carried back, other than good memories, is a bad throat infection. So if my voice breaks in between, you can't hear me too well, don't blame your laptop or your phone. It's probably not just coming out that well. But I'm here as committed, and I think a large part of being able to recover so quickly is my commitment to you all and my willingness to be here. I didn't want to miss out this session, so I had to kind of get myself to a position where I can be in front of you all and take up this session. So thank you so much for joining in. Give me a hi if you've joined in live and tell me which city are you joining me from. If you're from Delhi, I must warn you, there is a real bad infection in the air. If I've met around 40 people in the last 1 week, about 50% are down with flu. So it's quite contagious. It's quite terrible. I just got a little, minor infection in that sense, but I know a lot of people who are really taking long to recover. So please take care of yourself. If something is in the air, that's just as much you can do. So let me know where are you joining me from in the chat box. Give me a hi, and I would love to acknowledge your presence here with me live. And while you do that, I want to once again put out the question that I'm going to answer today. And the question is, what do I do if a key resource is not getting along with the rest of the organization? When do I let go of such a person, and when should I invest time in training? What should I do, and how should I decide whether to develop or to drop a key resource who's not fitting in well in the organization? All right, so a very, very big hi to Indrani from Kolkata. Indrani, glad you joined in. I'm so happy to see that you don't miss a single session ever since you got to know about this leadership satsang. I see you here every time, and that means a lot. So thank you, Indrani. Mukesh from Vadodara, wonderful. I'm going to be in Vapi this weekend for an event. I'm so looking forward to a startup conclave. So good to see you here, Mukesh. Anshul, hi, a very big hi to you too. Bharat, hi, thank you from Delhi. Be careful, Bharat. It's really quite bad. A lot of people are going down with this infection, whatever it's called. I think after COVID, we're not worried about all this much. ये सब होने वाला है, होते रहेगा. It is just that it shouldn't stop our business as usual. That's important. And for that reason, please take care of yourself so that you can live up to all your work commitments because they're also important. Okay, on that note, while you pray for my speedy recovery, which I really need, thank you so much. Please do pray. And let me, in the meantime, offer you some more value through this satsang session today by taking up this big challenge that we face with our key resources, when to develop and when to drop a key resource that doesn't fit into your environment. So for a moment, I want you to think of somebody from your own personal experience, whether this somebody is currently in your organization or not doesn't matter, but somebody who was not liked by many people or is not liked by many people, and you know that this person is still a good performer. You know what I'm saying? So there is this someone called Amit in an organization, I'm just saying hypothetical, who is not liked by many people. A lot of people have problems with his arrogance or humor or whatever the reasons may be. But you also are aware that Amit is very good with his job. Think about somebody like that from your own experience for a moment. If you've been able to spot that person in your mind, just say, have it in the chat box. Okay. So, do you have this person in your mind who is a good resource, a good performer, but for whatever reason is not liked by a few other people around, maybe including you, excluding you, but is not, one of the favorites, so to say. You got it? You have that person in your mind? Just say have it in the chat box, because it's important that you're able to relate to the message that I want to put out. I'm going to lay out a strategy, guys. It's a very thought through strategy on how to decide on something, which is such a huge challenge. It's a big dilemma to face. And let me tell you, with my own experience as a leader or a business owner, we dread this because it's a huge loss for the company to let go of somebody who's a contributor, who's a performer. But then you also know that other people who are not so good with their performance are getting disturbed, are hassled by this one person in the system. And hence it becomes it's a big problem to face, and you don't know what to do. So what happens is, the majority land up waiting for too long, and sometimes we just act too quickly. Both are wrong strategies to have, right? So waiting for too long means that a lot of damage is done already, right? Maybe the culture is affected. Maybe you've lost few other people in the organization because of this one Amit in the system. And I'm just taking this as an example. I'm not indicating it towards any Amit that I know. In fact, most of the Amits I know I'm very fond of because they're great leaders. But for namesake, if there is this one person who is creating a hassle for many other people around, and you wait for too long, you will land up losing a lot of other people who could be developed to that level, and you will also cause a lot of damage to the culture of the organization. Remember, guys, culture is very difficult to change. It's like a habit. When you form a habit, it takes a long time to break out of that habit, right? So similarly, when a culture is set in an organization, it's not like you can make an announcement as a business owner or as a leader and tomorrow the culture will be different. It takes time. It takes everybody's contribution. But as they say, one bad apple in the basket spoils it all. This one bad apple needs to be dealt with ASAP. Does not mean that you jump the gun and you just ask this person to resign, because there will be impact on the numbers, on business performance as well. So you've got to keep that balance. And balance is one of the most important things to look at, to learn as a leader. All right, so let me now jump into my mind map. The reason why I want you to think of a person like this is because I want you to imagine for a moment that you are in that position as a leader. This person called Amit reports into you. Just imagine that. Maybe this person is your peer today. Maybe this person is, in a different department that you're thinking of. But for a moment, think as if you are on the hot seat, you are the leader, and you have to decide what to do with this guy. How will I decide what should be my strategy to decide whether I'm going to invest time and train this person, give feedback to this person, and for how long do I want to do that? Or should I just go tomorrow and tell this person to quit because he's creating a lot of issues for many other people in the organization? What to do. So I need you to think about some such person in your mind as I take you through a few very important questions that will help you to arrive at your decision. Remember, no one size fits all. And this is true for almost all challenges related to leadership. You could look up to a few people as good leaders, but following what they do in a situation will be a huge mistake, because every situation is different. So you might know of somebody who is, very readily letting go of their key resources. The moment other people start having a little bit of a problem, this person just doesn't think twice and gives a pink slip to such people. And you might think that's a great strategy, but it will not fit into your system. It might not fit into your organization's culture. On the other hand, waiting for too long and thinking that, what, in my organization, I want that the average vintage of a person should be 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. I believe in that level of loyalty from my employees. So I always keep giving them a second chance. What you don't realize in this whole endeavor of stretching the vintage for people is that you land up giving them third chance, fourth chance, fifth chance, 50th chance without you realizing. And the moment it's gone beyond the second chance, the problem is that people you're giving this chance to are not valuing it anymore. They've already taken you for granted, and hence their behavior is only going to go south, which means it is only going to get worse. And when that gets worse, the other people who have the potential to bring in that level of commitment or revenue will leave your organization. They will not have the tolerance to deal with this blue eyed boy or girl that you have in your company. So, what should we do is a sevenfold strategy. I want to put out 7 questions, and I need you to answer each one of them at a time. Do keep in mind this one person who you need to decide this for. Right now, the fact is that cost of acquisition will always be higher than a cost of retention, which means when we have to bring in a new person in the system, that cost is always much higher than retaining the current team. The reason is simple. It's not only the hiring cost that you incur when you have a cost of acquisition. You also need to include their first 3 months of what we call as a honeymoon period or coming up the learning curve. Somebody who comes new in the company is going to take some time to understand how the company works. As a leader, you will have to give them at least 3 months leeway and then expect some performance. So it's not just the hiring cost that you have incurred. You've also incurred 3 months of salary without expecting any return on that investment. And that is why the cost of acquisition is always higher. Cost of retention can be a function of some more time that you need to spend to retain the person, or some amount of cost that you may have to incur to train this person. All of this put together will always be lesser than the cost of acquiring a new person. So that's another incentive for us to understand, will it be possible for me to train and spend some time with this person instead of quitting and bringing in a new person and then waiting for that person to learn the game, come up the learning curve. With that said, let me open up these 7 questions. So let me see if you're ready for these 7 questions. Just say ready, ready in the chat box. Are you ready to indulge with me as I unveil the strategy to decide when to develop and when to drop a key resource? Ready, guys? Give me a ready in the chat box. I want to see how ready you are. That will also be a confirmation that you can hear me well, given my sore throat today. And sorry about that. Let me see you're ready in the chat box very quickly. Samarth is ready. Super. Pratik ready. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So here are the questions. We're going to answer them one at a time, keeping in mind the person you're thinking of for this decision. You might not be facing this dilemma today, but remember, as lifelong learners, we are preparing for the situations that might come in future. And trust me, I know very few people in their journey of 20, 25, 30 years who have never faced this situation. It is bound to happen. So it's best if we are ready for such a situation. And looks like Indrani is ready, and so is Mayur, Mukesh, Prema, Pratik. Awesome. Let's get started right away. So I'm going to share my screen and open up my mind map, which is a reflection into the strategy that comes to my mind for handling such a dilemma. All right, here we go. So here are the 7 questions that I want you to answer one at a time. The first question is, are you losing other people because of this person? How many other people have quit or are willing to quit because of this person? If there are a lot of people, do not compare their level of performance with this one person, because level of performance can be worked at. What matters here when you're answering this question is, how many resources are you equating against this one resource? How many have you let go of to keep this one back? And when you look at these two numbers against each other, how do you feel about it? That's the first question. The second question you need to look at is, if you find this as a value problem, a will problem, or a skill problem. Now, if it is a will problem, which means this person is not willing to connect with people, this person is not willing to receive feedback or work on the feedback, is not willing to give in the 100%, we can do a few things as leaders to ignite that will. right? If it is a skill problem, that this is somebody who's a great performer but is not a team player, so team building, being a part of a team, etc., is something that can be developed by bringing in a few skills. So you can bring in some patience and take this person through a training journey so that the person is better equipped to lead others more effectively. But if it is a value disconnect, is when you should look at replacing this resource. Because when a value disconnect happens, then the culture starts getting diluted. And nothing is more important than saving and protecting the culture. In fact, in a lot of large organizations today, the interview rounds that are happening from the first round itself, they've started looking for certain indications to confirm whether this resource will be a cultural fit or not. And I think that's very, very important, because this is what defines how much fun people will have in your organization. And when people have fun, is when they bring in their 100%. That's when the productivity levels go up for an organization. These are the organizations we call as a good place to work. It's not the logo or the color combination that you see within the organization and the furniture around that makes it a good place to work. It's leaders like you who will make it a good place to work, which means the culture is what defines how good the organization will be. So see if it's a value misfit, and that's like a big red flag to look at. The third question is, what is this person's attitude towards taking and giving credit to other people? So here's what you should be looking at. If this person looks at the window when he has to or she has to give credit, which means looking outside to see who should he or she give credit to, and looks into the mirror when it's about accepting mistakes, and takes it upon himself or herself for anything that goes wrong, is the person you need to have at a leadership position, right? Somebody who's hogging all the limelight, always wanting to take the credit and not pass it on to the team, or is just doing a lip service to pass it on to the team, but immediately comes back to himself or herself and the great sacrifices or the great intellect that they brought to the table, because of which you achieved what you achieved, that's a red flag. You need to see how humble this person is about accepting mistakes and about offering credit to other people, especially the team members. The fourth question is, does this person see the work that they do as a job or a responsibility? A job is something that you're obliged to do. You get paid for it, so you have to do it. It brings food to the table, so you have to do it. It helps you to pay the bills, so you have to do it. And that's where the motivation ends. Sometimes job is also something to look at because it adds status to your identity, that I'm a vice president of so and so company, and that's why I do what I do, but I don't feel responsible about anything. Responsibility is about taking ownership, and when that ownership comes in, automatically many other things start taking care of themselves. Ownership is about being completely accountable for the results that you and your team will deliver. Right? So if this person is looking at their work with that sense of responsibility, you may want to spend some more time and effort to train this person about team building, about becoming a team player, than to let this person go. But if this person is doing what they're doing for job's sake, then it's a red flag. The fifth question. The fifth important question to look at is, how has your confidence been in this person in the last 1 year? Don't look at the entire vintage. Don't start from when this person created jaw dropping moments for you, that नौकरी के पहले 1 साल 2 साल में एक्सपीरियंस में ये इंसान ने आपको टोटली फ्लोट कर दिया, मतलब इतना अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस बियॉन्ड एक्सपेक्टेशन, एंड यू वर वंडरिंग कि दिस इज माय बेस्ट हायर, and then over a period of time that level of performance has not been maintained. So we don't go back to the entire vintage of this person. I want you to look at only the last 12 months and decide, has this person's confidence or performance has spiked, right? Or has it been dropping? Maybe gradually, maybe drastically, but what does that graph look like? Like how we analyze, companies' profitability, and look at that graph when we have to invest in an organization. Here we are investing in people. And if we're investing in people, we need to look at their performance graph. We need to see what is my level of confidence in this person. Is it increasing or is it going down? And that's an important criteria to consider. The sixth question is it a bus problem or a seat problem? Now, this is a typical analogy that Jim Collins drives in every explanation or book that he's written. And he says that a bus is an organization, a seat is the role that you play within that organization. So sometimes what happens is you've got a good person, but in a wrong place. So this person is at a wrong position. Maybe this is a better fit for sales, but the person happens to be in operations. Or maybe this person is in operations, but would be a better fit in finance. So, do we need to change the seat of this person? It could also mean this person is a great asset because of the intellect they bring in, but we might not give him that kind of span. इतने सारे लोग उनको रिपोर्ट करें जरूरी नहीं है. अगर अभी 15 लोग रिपोर्ट कर रहे हैं and none of them are happy or not many are happy with this person, can I give him or her a smaller department where maybe there are 3 reportees or maybe there are 4 reportees, a smaller team, and maybe he or she will do better there? Or can I give something which could be a space where he can really grow well as an individual, or she can really shine in her own capacity using her expertise without putting the load of having a team and developing a team possible. So that's also a different seat. So should you look at a different seat for this person, or is it a bus problem, which means that the person doesn't belong to the organization? Forget about the function. And how do you know that the person doesn't belong to the organization? Is when you see this person as a misfit in terms of the culture. That when we all are together, when we all catch up for an off site, or when we are all kind of connecting and bonding with each other, we don't see this person around too much. Right? When we talk about taking some initiatives to connect with people one on one, we don't see this person taking any initiative of that sense. So you have your own cues and you understand what a cultural misfit might feel like, and that's what you need to see. If it's a bus problem, then you have to let this person go. But if it's a seat problem, we can bring in some more patience and see what would be a better fit in terms of a role for this person, so that the person can be retained, and at the same time we give him or her the opportunity to grow with their own strengths. And the last question is, how would you feel if this person just walks up to you and says, I quit? Now, when that happens, how would you feel about it? If you instantly feel relieved, you know that you're ready to let this person go. But if you feel that this could create a lot of turmoil in your head, you might have sleepless nights, you might not feel good about it, you might feel like you've incurred a very big loss, then you may want to wait for some more time. Having said that, no one question is the answer to this problem. We need to look at it collectively. We need to see the response for each one of these 7 and then see where is the spade tilted. Is it going more towards developing, or is it bent more towards dropping the resource? One big problem that we make as business owners and also as senior corporate executives is that we start treating our business or our teams as our baby. When you get into that parenting mindset, you get very emotional about certain decisions that you have to make. While emotion is a strength, but getting emotional is not. When you get emotional, you let go of the rationale, which is used and required to look at the bigger picture. And that bigger picture is beyond your personal success or your personal relationships with people. Just because you don't want this Amit to dislike you does not mean that Amit will stay no matter how many other people around are not happy with Amit. Are you with me? It's important for us to call the shots basis what is good for the bigger picture. And that is beyond you, even if you are the business owner, because business has to be bigger than the business owner himself or herself. Now, one last thing I want to share with you, which is really, really important, and that's about how we need to conduct ourselves when we give out our decision. But before that, I'm keen to know, is it making sense to you all? Was this a useful strategy? Just say useful, not so useful, I don't know, whatever you feel like. I want to see in the chat box. Did you find this as a useful strategy, something that is practical and can be applied if you are facing such a dilemma? Hi, Jana. Good to see you here. Sunny, glad you made time. Tell me, guys, Dipashri, good you here too. Tell me, how do you feel about this? Was this useful? Can you keep these 7 questions somewhere in your notebook or in your mind and go through this when you face such a problem? Trust me, there is no such cheat sheet available anywhere else, right? And this is the most practical way that comes to my mind for us to make such an important decision as to let go or develop an important person. Great. Atul, glad you made it. Wonderful. I know some people in my own space who will benefit from this. So I've reached out personally, inviting you all. And I hope that it becomes your habit to be here and join me every Tuesday for the satsang. I promise that it'll always be a question that'll be a common challenge for you as leaders. And I'll do my best to solve such challenges. So the last bit about this strategy is how we're going to deliver the decision. Now, one thing that you will not do is to delegate it to somebody else to break the news. Nobody else will go and sack Amit. You will be doing it yourself. You need to have the courage to have that conversation, confront the person, and deliver this news yourself. And when you do that, you also need to bring in compassion. It's not about addressing somebody who's not a good person. It is just about accepting that this might not be a good fit for my organization. It's about letting a Sachin Tendulkar leave the music class so that he can actually go and put out some shots out there on the cricket pitch and live his potential to the fullest. You know what I mean? So let us allow people to continue with their journey, even if that journey is not alongside our own journey, and do that with courage as well as compassion. That's all for today's satsang, guys. Thank you for bearing with my bad throat, and thank you for showing up for this live session. As always, means a lot. I'm going to catch you again next Tuesday at 8 o'clock with another challenge. If you are facing a challenge, do write to me at yukti@sbyacademy.com. Also, we have a podcast, guys. If you're not following, you should look out on Spotify. It's called SEL Masterminds. That's all I can manage today. Thank you so much. God bless you all. I'll see you real soon.